Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Thank you guys so much for joining us once again. So, if we're ever going to have a chance for world peace, there's one thing we can do that could really help to bring it about. And it's an amazingly simple thing. And, how many of us ever even think about it? We're so wrapped up in this matrix and we're so rushed with so many things to do. Have to pay the bills. We have all the pressures of society, the traffic, you name it. It's all going on. Of course, the earth changes and we're always faced with these different disasters and tragedies all across the globe. We really don't have to look very far to see that the world is very, very far from this state of perfect peace and bliss. And yet we are in a time of tremendous changes, and we do have the chance to really make a difference in this world. And when we see little kids, holding up machine guns and, dying, unfortunately, in endless war after war, and these wars are really created by the rich and the greedy, and they're all about resource grabs. They're all about ego. They're all about control and manipulation, and yet so many are suffering in this world. As bad as we think we might have it, because, maybe we're living paycheck to paycheck. We're not sure how we're going to pay the rent, pay the mortgage, if you're lucky enough to own a home. Or even buy food. There are people that don't even have a roof over their head out there right now, and people that are dying in droves and are actually starving to death, while we have food just rotting in silos for political reasons and for financial gain again as well. It's really a very sick society that we find ourselves in, and yet I truly believe that the majority of the population would change it all if they could. I think they would. I think most of us would. I think most of us would sacrifice a little bit to help others. I do think that's the case. I think that's the majority of the population. Unfortunately, it's not manifesting. It's not so far, it has not made a big enough deal, a big enough change in this world. And many of us are very, very frustrated with that. But there is one simple thing to do that would, theoretically, it should change everything. And it's a very, very simple thing. And maybe we could get away from little kids playing with bombs and little kids being in areas with depleted uranium and no clean food, no clean water. It would be a beautiful thing, would it not? Well, Jimi Hendrix said, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. And so there is a revolution starting. We see it. We see people in the streets. We see people just tired of status quo. And even when the government gets into the demands of the protesters are still out there. It's because we know there's something inherently wrong with the system, and it's so deeply, deeply wrong at the highest levels. It's the highest levels. We're not really talking about pawns here if we're going to look at chess or rooks or bishops or knights. It's higher up than that, where the problems truly lie. But yet, if each one of us does one simple thing, it could really start to massively change our reality. And, that thing is very simple. And it's just that anytime you respond to anything, respond with love. And so this came to Cindy in meditation, and she believes it was a message from on high. And it's something that, you look at that thought and you think, well, yeah, it's nice. And some would say, maybe a little cynically, it's nice, but it can't happen in this imperfect world. But what if we actually did? What if we really truly did turn the other cheek? Just to share with you guys, there's like issues going on family-wise with me right now. And, there's like basically outright attacks on me personally for certain situations. And, I just have not responded in a negative way. And I like that, because I just won't anymore. I just won't, because I don't want to lower my vibrations. I don't want to lower myself. And so, that old axiom, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all, it really is true. It really, really is true. It never does good to lash out. When we lash out, we just perpetuate a cycle. And often we just fan flames that could get totally out of control and lead to devastating circumstances, horrible situations. Honestly, in this past year, I've been through a couple of situations that were just outright brutal. And, even physically attacked once, and still did not respond with violence. And I won't. And I'm not going to respond with anger, because it's not helpful. And wouldn't it be a beautiful world if all of us on this planet could actually do something like that? It's not easy. It takes a lot of discipline. And I really do think it takes a lot of still time, which a lot of people don't have because they're running around like crazy in this matrix, trying to keep everything together. And that could be a very, very tough thing to do. Yet, we need to take time to get out in nature. We need to make priorities. And, your sanity is a priority. Obviously, the bills are always going to be there, and there's always going to be something pulling at you. But what good is it if your tension, if your frustrations lead to disease, lead to anger and quarrels, lead to things escalating to where they never should have gone? We need to make peace and not war. And we need to tell the warmongers, that, hey, if you want to call us hippies, if you want to call us tree huggers, whatever, call us whatever you want. But we just don't want ourselves, our kids, our fathers, our brothers, our daughters, our wives, going off and fighting these wars, dying for corporations, dying for profits, dying for resources, and killing other innocent people. How is that going to ever change this world? And yet the wars never stop. So we need to find a new way. And I brought up Gandhi before in his peaceful protests, and some say that he was, again, an Illuminati puppet. And, people are always going to say that about pretty much everyone, no matter who it is when you get down to it. Yet we do and must create change on this world, if not just in our own lives, and then hope that our energy and our positivity and not responding to anger and hatred and fear with the like can actually start to change things in a different way. Anger and hate dig holes. Love and kindness moves mountains. Choose your motivation wisely. That is most definitely a wise saying. And this is another wise saying from a very wise man. People say walking on water is a miracle, but to me, walking peacefully on earth is the real miracle, because it takes effort. It really takes effort in this world, because this world has been so divided as long as we know. And when we see the leadership at the top that is just nothing but ego and just vanity, and so unconcerned truly with the average people around the world. And we see leaders talk about their own people, perhaps, in a positive light, and taking care of my own people, this and that, and then still engaging in wars, say in Yemen, for example, that are killing, 5 to 10 million people between the war and the famine, and so many little babies and children. How can you think anything positive about that leader? When they're still doing arms sales to the ones that are slaughtering the people. How can we tolerate this leadership? It's time to not tolerate it anymore. It takes real change, but we have to get out of the matrix. You may not be able to pull everybody up and out, but pull yourself out at least. Save yourself. Save yourself karmically. Save yourself energetically by not engaging anymore, and respond with love always, and never go down that road that leads to nothing but dissension, fear, hatred, and regret. As always, my friends, like, share, subscribe. Thank you for your support on Patreon and Ko-Fi. Namaste, and God bless.